Okay, maybe it will work this time. And so, back to Krita, and a little closer to my mic. And I'm on the mouse for now because my setup's been moved around a bit. It'll be alright. But I've got to take stock of what I have here. And what I need. Okay, I have this background, which actually still has, oops, most likely still has the Blemmy itself in it. Yeah, it looks like it. So, I will likely want to I haven't decided yet if I want to try to have the Blemmy on the original background yet. But that's soft on the list. I believe I'd better just get rid of everything. I believe I had my original cutout of the body. Yep, that's useful. I could do for it to be a little cleaner, but that's not hugely important. There's some alpha on it, so it doesn't look strictly terrible. Looking at the animated bits, maybe the bottom of the neck needs some cleanup. Bottom and top of the neck. Maybe everything else looks usable. I'll skip cleaning that. I'll mark that as end of the list, bottom of the list. Maybe I could cut it out in usage. What else do I have? I was definitely thinking of just working from those, although I built the inside of a mouth, so I may keep that. Mouth inside is, oh, in a group. Upper lip, lower lip, mouth inside. I may well want to change the inside of the mouth, but that's not critical. I can kind of do that later. What else do I have here? I have the cutout of the inside of the mouth. I'm not going to worry about that. I'll probably rebuild the whole thing out of other pieces at a later date if I want something. Eyes simple. Oh, is that a group? Oh, eyes group. Um, I'm not convinced that I need to change these. I don't think that's what I need to fix today. Although, I do remember that the way I was rigging the eyes wasn't ideal. Oh, what do we have here? The eye backs are probably fine. We have eye insides, which are pretty simple. I don't think I necessarily need complicated for this model. The eye insides. Eye outsides. I think I need these in at least 2 pieces. In fact, okay. I may well go down to I may well start with a shut eye and open the eye in rigging. Something like that. Do enough garbage to achieve that. Before I forget, I'm going to save to another location. Working on windowing stuff. I have received advice from Hero to prevent problems. Okay, we're going to remove that. Go away. Okay. My Emacs window capture is so reliable. I understand why these others aren't. Hello?
Some applications are just a weird size and you just gotta...
Yep. Now I can close that. Okay. What was I doing? I should have done this first, but a step I was going to take was I was going to go back through one of the demo models for Inochi and see how it's rigged and see what the parts are. Although the Blemmy here isn't going to match that totally. I just need to go learn techniques. Do I do that now? Do I do that later? I'll keep taking stock of what I have, and then maybe move over to Inochi and have a look at Midori. So that's the eye groups. What's body rough? Okay, that's not important. Wing left and wing right. Alright, pan with right click. My tooling changes so often that I have to relearn and reset my panning controls just about every time. Wing right. Wing left. I'm prepared to keep wing right and wing left. I went to a very small amount of trouble. To make those big enough to just play with. Not worry about space. They don't look pristine. They look good enough to me. Okay. We're going to go look at Midori. I'm going to see if I have Midori around recent. No. This is going to happen in Inochi. I'm going to full exit Krita for now. hope this doesn't show off too much of my file structure. Okay, it doesn't. Do I have Midori? Do I have to go get it? Okay. I'm gonna go get Midori. There may be a better place to get these. In fact, the GitHub definitely suggests that you can download these somewhere. Ah. Yes. Yeah, it says design and rigging by CGET CH. CGET CH. Don't know the pronunciation. CC4 attribution. So keep in mind that that's what you're looking at, not my work. I'm merely staring at this and taking notes. I should possibly not paste my stupid head over the name I'm trying to give credit to. What do I do about this? Yeah, I'll work on that in a minute. Dear OBS, I'm going to move this. So that my notes are clearly visible, as I'm using that to credit artists. Okay, I've acquired Midori again. I don't know why this doesn't just stay in my downloads folder. I guess it's because I clear my downloads all the time. I am perpetually low on disk space. Yeah, the mic triggering is not 100% working for me. Working a little bit. So now we're looking at Midori, which is an example model by CGET CH. I'll stop pronouncing that at some point. This is my go-to model for trying to understand how to do things. There is, of course, documentation. There's a lot of various helpful text on the Discord. Oof, a little bit much sugar in that coffee. Nice foamy sugary coffee, hooray. There's a number of things that I won't be repeating, but may hold useful techniques. I figured out how to use the physics by looking through this model. Largely. Or did I? I don't remember. I learned the physics from somewhere. This is a good example model for learning basic techniques in the present version. 0.9 is apparently coming along. But this is a mostly I think an 0.8 model. And so, I came in here to look firstly at the mouth stuff. I may well want a different window setup for inspecting this than I want for... rigging. So I'm going to maybe get rid of tool settings, give nodes first class placement. I probably shouldn't give the model itself second class placement. Let's put inspector over here. Or at the bottom? I don't know. Let's put inspector on the right. Let's put parameters on the right. That's better. Okay, and I'm interested mostly in the mouth group and mouth parameter stuff. Okay, let's get rid of the stuff we don't want. Lip mesh group. Is this the whole thing? No objections. Hair. This is a fairly impressively complicated model. I'm going to try to focus this in on only the things I'm looking at. Unnamed node. Let's see, is just a node. I'm gonna move my mic. I have different ideas about my mic. I might as well rename this. What's the convention here? I don't know. Don't know what the convention is. Renamed this mouth and some question marks. Look at the mouth root, and that's an ordinary node, meaning it has a transform, a translation and rotation, and scale, x and y, and a sorting, and not a lot else. So you can rotate it. You can rotate the whole thing, rotating the mouth inside it. And beneath that we have a mesh group What's this one called? Lip Mesh Group. What does this do? So the lip mesh group is going to have. This is a really simple mesh. This is a really simple auto grid mesh. It's basically a 2x2. Ends up being 8 triangles. It looks like this has already been rotated in the past. Looking to edit mesh, and it's a mesh. From this view, it does not look like it's been rotated or something weird. It's just a big I'm going to note that that's larger than what it's covering. I don't know if that's important, but I'm taking a note of it. That may be advice worth knowing. What's under here? Of course, this rotates, does things. This is a mesh group, so it has a mesh. It has your node stuff, your translation, rotation, scale, drawable, texture, offset, which happens if I change this. Texture offset. Don't know what that does. Okay, why don't I... That looks like it's measured in pixels. Well, I'm not sure what texture offset does. I should probably find out, but maybe that's not a today thing. Inside that we have lip. Under lip we have, let's see, under lip mesh group we have lip. And lip is just, lip is a, okay, so mouth, what's on mouth? So mouth seems to be containing, rather down to lip mesh group contains lip and mouth inner. Lip is those lip graphics, mouth inner is so there's some contents that I can't find because I don't have fine knowledge of Inochi. But let's just go back to lip. Lip is a part, basically. I don't know what to call these. Go away, taskbar. This is a fine mesh that's sort of concentrated radially. Very much acts like there's sort of a ribbon around the mouth and a ribbon of, yeah. I could duplicate that with some, I don't know of a fast way to do that, but I could duplicate that with some fine mesh work, probably. I do need to get to know the mesh editing tools much better. Under that is mouth inner. So mouth inner is under lip. That's something I may well want to do. Now that's my takeaway so far. Mouth inner is parented under the lip. I can see how that would be useful. The mouth inner looks very much like the whole thing is covered by an auto mesh, or mostly covered by an auto mesh. I don't even know if it's rigged, but it does have a mesh on it. Oh, it's going to be deformed by the outer mesh group. That's, okay. Note to self. This is something it took me a while to understand. The inner mesh groups, the outer mesh group does nothing but manipulate inner mesh groups. So you have to have fine inner mesh groups to accomplish anything with the outer mesh, with the mesh group itself. So you have to have inner meshes to accomplish anything with the outer mesh group. Okay, now, back here somewhere, and around here, I went to edit at the mesh group, I went to edit the mesh, and I saw some mouth contents that don't look like they belong to anything I can see, so I need to try to understand where that's coming from. The face itself is a shape. Can I... If I hide it, does it hide? Okay, it hides everything. Nope, didn't want to do that. I wanted to unhide it. Show. Can I can just set the opacity of that in specific to 0, probably. Okay. That's closer. Mouth question marks. Yep. Maybe I'll start hiding some of this other stuff. What is... oh, that's... Is that neck stuff? I could get rid of neck and collar stuff. Hide. Oh, neck. Hide. Okay. And so now I'm looking at the mouth and the back of the hair. The back of the hair isn't going to distract me too much. Although, how hard is it to stop seeing it? Yeah, okay. Now I'm looking at just the mouth stuff. And with the question of why I'm not seeing... Oops. Show. Is it because this stuff is already stretched out to Edit mesh. Ah, I see. I understand. This is the stretched mesh. Welcome to Rigging Basics stream. Welcome to Rigging 101 stream. That's appropriate for me, but probably not thrilling viewing. So this has already been rigged, and whatever the parameters are at are showing that distortion. So probably if I go and find mouth shape, okay, mouth shape is the next thing for me to pay attention to. So now it's a problem that mouth shape is behind my big dumb bird head. Okay, what are the axes of mouth shape here? Okay. Mouth shape has a lot of points. Where was it set? About there? Yeah. Mouth shape has a lot of points, but it looks like it's supposed to be a motion on the x-axis from unhappy at 0 to happy at 1, or rather from frown at 0 to smile at 1. So we're back at parameters. This one's 2D. 2D parameters can be very slightly tricky in Inochi 2D right now. A little bit crashy. I don't quite have the skills to look into it right now, but I've sure thought about it. And then Y is from 0 to 1, closed to open. Closed to open. All right. So on X we have, not all these points are filled, not all these points are rigged, but we have around 0.5 we have a neutral. I may well not understand. Huh. Okay, so. And that's why all of these points are defined, because what it's doing is fairly involved. Maybe I'll look at it from the point of view of, half open. This is a full, 0 is the full frown. I'm going to have a look at the details of the rigging from frown to smile at half open at 0.5. Except those points are rigged at, okay, maybe I should start with mouth closed. I'll start with mouth closed because it's rigged at all the points and maybe a little more, I don't know, maybe a little easier to understand. This is going to be from 0, 1, 2. This is going to be from in XY coordinates. This is going to be from 0. From 0, 0 to 1, 0. Haha, I'm showing off my Algebra 1 skills. Skills of an artist. What do we have here? Can I move all of this down? Not easily. I don't know the keyboard shortcut for that. So I'm gonna... Oop. I used to know how to use Emacs. And move this down to make sure it's visible. I should probably have left a copy of it up there. Okay, so what do we have here? I'm going to start at from smile to neutral. Neutral is slightly smile. Okay. Closed, 0.25 is closer to neutral. 0 is closer to slight smile. Well, okay, maybe not neutral, but 0.25 is flat. 0.5 is more like... .5 is closer to a neutral smile. I really did put just a bit too much sugar in that coffee. No caffeine, more's the shame. What am I looking at here? So it's definitely not being rigged by this outer mesh group. So is the inner mouth is not being rigged for the mouth closed. The inner mouth is not being rigged at all. That's the idea I'm getting. So it's all happening in this radially concentrated mesh here. The lip mesh. The lip mesh group is just a container, I guess. I don't know if that's necessary, but I'll probably replicate it if I'm trying to do mouth this way. Okay, what's happening here? Nothing terribly interesting. There's that radial mesh is being used to move. It's just movement of that radial mesh group where the whole thing is widened at the bottom for the smile and scrunched in at the bottom. Okay, it looks like, if I'm not much mistaken, the mesh here is set at the smile. The mesh is like basically set or relaxed, you know. Possibly for the whole... I could mess with these parameters a bit. Oh no, it's definitely at the mouth. Okay, that's where and how the mesh is set. It's at 1, 1. That's good to know. Okay, so at smile closed, the rigging is just sewn up tight. It's just stitched in. Nothing terribly surprising about that. There are definitely some mesh points overlapping, which is, I mean, that's how it goes. What does it look like if... Whoop, here, I'm incapable of zooming well or reasonably. What does it look like if I arm here? Yeah, it's definitely a situation where the mesh is overlapping itself, which is not something I would have thought of doing. Um... That doesn't seem to be causing any problems, so... Sure. I'll plan to do something like that, I suppose. Um... I'm going to have to take all of these thoughts back to... Shoulder cramp, cool. I'm going to have to take all of these thoughts back to the Blemmy and think about whether I want to go back and do something similar with a mouth open smile on the Blemmy, or if I want to have something else as the default pose. I think last time I went to rig the Blemmy, I started with a mouth closed. I started with how the Blemmy is posed, which is the mouth open neutral. That's natural, a natural thing to try. But it may well be necessary to do something else. Given, It may be that I need to have an animation frame for fully closed. Simply use fully, like, the neutral fully closed may have to be an animation frame, or I may end up splitting it up because it may or may not be natural to form a smile or an open mouth pose out of the lips and then rig that. Not sure. The whole point of the Blemmy was to be an easy exercise, and instead it's actually harder than doing your own art. Well, not harder. It's different. It's a different challenge. I may well... I may well end up with a closed mouth and an open mouth. Like fully closed, and kind of hope that works and blends. Because I can see the relative ease of rigging an open mouth into a closed one rather than vice versa. That may well be why I've never quite gotten the results I wanted when I try to track this model. Besides the fact that I only have 2 parameters. And even those barely get used. In fact, I can go experiment with with just camera, and it will instantly be barely tracked at all. Here, we turn off microphone tracking, and you get this. It kind of works. Like, it moves. It kind of works. It moves. I can stretch my mouth a little bit. But of course, mic tracking is essential for me to get this mouth to move at all. And that's possibly because of some of the awkwardness of how it's rigged. More likely just because it was a first effort. What happens if I set up advanced lip sync? Does it try a little harder? Okay. That doesn't seem to work much better, so... I'm gonna go back to simple, which is just volume. And so... shuffle aside those distractions. I could resign myself to having a not great looking open mouth. Or a not great looking closed mouth due to fudging an open mouth and rigging it closed. But I have a lot of closed mouth on channel. It may be... probably I will start with rigging it closed and then see how I feel about it. Alright, so this is becoming a checklist. Let's put this down here. I will, so that I'm not bouncing back and forth, I'm going to do... okay. Gotta keep staring at this, see if any other major comprehensions occur. So from there to there. This doesn't look like it's done with something as simple as some path deforms. I could be wrong. And it may be possible to do this with path deforms, but man, it looks like they're just doing a bunch of work. I'm going to consider simplifying this using like a small number of outermost points the way some models do. But that might end up showing the face stuff underneath. This is a technique I basically saw in a live 2D demo, and it seems to work. But a lot of those demos are working on very, very flat face art, where the face is basically just a color, and that's not quite what I'm doing here. Closed mouth frame probably would only need to be, I mean, it just needs to pivot around the lips though. Probably an auto mesh is going to be fine for the closed mouth. Oh, I've got to start learning to mark in Emacs again. Alright, go down here, Control X, Control X. I cannot be bothered to try learning mark registers again. I will go crazy. You know, this is bothering me. Tangents are bad. We're gonna lift Emacs up and out of the corner. Okay, I was a long time ago. I kind of got what I came for, but I want to at least skim over the rest of the mouth rigging. So we were looking at frown to smile. What we found out is that, okay, probably makes most sense to view this as a from smile to frown as the model gets more distorted. Toward the half smile, toward the neutral. It's not very subtle, it just mostly flattens out. Yeah, those bottom outer points are getting noticeably closer together. They're not extreme yet. And then at 0.25 is when you start seeing the big motions. Looking at the outside, yeah, the sides don't move until and then at the bottom here is more of the same. The whole top is literally just 2 points now, where over here it was 4. Those top points are all the way to the side. They are almost all the way down to the mouth. This would be great stuff to have notes on if I was doing an anime model. A cartoon model. I might do one eventually. Hero is doing art for me, and I might take a swing at it myself. Oops. I don't have one of my ancient cherished keyboards to use. I'm on a plain old laptop keyboard. My ancient cherished keyboards mostly stopped working when I tried to disassemble them and fix them. Big surprise there. Big surprise. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna take some quick notes on from smile open to what does width is what? Okay. I'll have a look at width eventually, but width is width. Width looks to maybe just be a transform on the outer mesh group. Yeah, that's something to know. What? I thought I had... width is just a stretch and zoom. On the 2x2 over the whole mouth. That's... yeah, I see that. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't know if that's how I'm going to do that. Not having a 3D or sophisticated model, you can't see that my head is in my hands, fraught with worry and concentration. I'm just gonna put a note down here to ponder mouth width. I can probably do it about the same way. Do I actually change my mouth width? Technically, my model can do that, but it's not ideal, obviously. It's barely working, really. Not that you necessarily want to present that, but like... the mouth width for me, I guess, is mostly just creating a little bit of nuance. It's distinct from having just animation frames. Barely distinct, but distinct nonetheless. Back to... I was looking at... nope, not that. Looking at lip. From open smile to open frown. There's only 3 points this time. I mean, in fairness, I could just... I have to have an easy way to comprehend this. So we just have 1, 0, 1.5. Again, going from here to here, it still seems like the open mouth is the basis. The open smile is the basis. So open smile to open frown. 1, 1, 2, 0, 1. I might be calling these points something different than... I might be calling these points something different than Inochi is calling them. We have the default mesh of the open smile. You have anime pointiness at the corners of the mouth. I don't know if that's what I'm going to do with this guy. It could be. But I'm going to start. I gotta learn Emacs again. Gee whiz. Once every couple of years, I have to just open up the Emacs tutorial again, and maybe that doesn't need to happen again, but I gotta do something. Because I'm struggling with basic text editing. I swear I used to know a lot of this. And org mode checklist stuff. What else? As prophesied, my attention span is running short. Despite being the simplest looking shape, is that inner mouth shape changing? It's not. It is not changing underneath there, that I can tell. And there's a little bit of that, yeah, there's what qualifies as the lip there is just a little patch of darkness along the top of the lip. Anyway, to 0.5. This feels the wrong way around, but at 0.5, the corners are drawn in and the top is rounded out to create that rounded mouth. To create a standard near circle mouth. What's that doing to the outer points? Anything important? May or may not be important for me. And I may need to do it differently. There's some weird distortion in some of the random points here. It doesn't seem like the rigger here, because they have a flat face color, it doesn't seem like they care too much about where these outer points are. That's fine. I'll have to just figure that out for myself. To 0, the frown. Those corners are gone altogether. Instead, we have again, we have the sides drawn way down. Some of the top points have migrated all the way to the side. This may not be important, but I enjoy looking closely. And maybe I'll have a look at... I feel like a lot of the expression in a mouth comes in this range here, right in the 0 to 0.5 x and y, which is why they have so many points, but I don't know if I comprehend what all of that's going to be like. I may end up at maybe 9, 8 points to begin with. Man, this is just an example model, but the no toothies is starting to get at me. And I know this is just an anime girl, but man, yeah, looks a little bit weird. What am I looking at? From here to here, you have like some sewing up. To 0.5, unless I'm mixing up my coordinates again. It's not a major change. Mostly some points on the perimeter are taking up slack to close it up. Not edges. Second to outer ring of edges is just taking up a lot of slack. call that what? The second outer ring. Inner outer ring. So they aren't shrinking the whole thing. They're moving the slack into that outer ring. Here, as usual, the points disappear, gets rounder, and you get some scrunching. No, no, that's wrong. At some point, I may be referring back to this to kind of look at maybe like some of these diagonals here. Or the verticals. It feels like... Ooh. Hey! Cat issues. Happens.
You're still muted, I think.
Am I? Am I still muted?
Oh no. It's just a really long delay, I guess.
Yeah, that's not surprising. Okay, so these verticals. It's very possible I should have been looking at these Y changes instead of the X changes. Maybe I can return to those. Because that's... Don't know. Don't know. I feel like this transition in here is going to be seen a lot of the sort of flat to neutral talking. But a little bit of mouth width in there. Anyway, I think that's enough. I think that's enough hyper focusing on that. I think that's enough hyper focusing on the mouth rigging. And so next, what am I doing? What am I looking at? Is there anything else I really want to look at? I got a lot of my original rigging ideas from looking at the eyes on this model. I probably have old notes for that. What did I do to the face? Oh, that doesn't look good. I need to fix that in short order here. Face mesh group. Face. Some of these things are still invisible. It's alright. Having a look at the eyes. I've gone through these before. Oh, physics. Do you need physics on the eyes? Oh, spring. Yeah. I'm not gonna worry too hard about that. I mainly came here to look at the mouth, but body, yaw, pitch. Okay. This might be worth. They're not using a lot of those points. You can see some hair pendulum at work. I'm not necessarily going to have a lot of hair pendulum on the Blemmy here. Technically it has hair. I could try to hair pendulum some of that hair. I don't think that's in the cards for this upcoming model. I could try to pendulum the bird somehow. I'm not sure how that would work. The bird or the arms. I definitely intend to yaw pitch my body a little bit. But that may be, as the Blemmy's head is its body, that may come down to just yaw pitching the body. Well, oh cool. Have I frozen Inochi? Yeah, I froze Inochi. First time today. Nope, it's back. I am going to have to figure out how I want to rig the bird, though. At present, I have one giant mesh that covers the whole body, including the bird. That's definitely not what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that on my checklist so that I'm pondering. Might joint the neck and bird. Do I want the bird to do anything like blink? I already have too much. I'll separate the neck and bird so that the neck can be animated. Right now, what you're looking at is not an animation. It is literally a parameter with a bunch of overlapping sine wave adjustments. What else? Same thing with the wings, but the wings are already separate enough that I'm happy with them. So I'm happy with the wings. Today was definitely going to be the day that I did things in Krita, but man, I'm almost out of go. So maybe that will be a different day. wanted to return to this model and decide if there was anything interesting I wanted to try to do with the eyes. My model's eyes are fairly simple. I may well need to try to... Yeah, I want to have a look at how the eyelids work. Oh yeah, he's using... Not whoever. Whoever did this. Pronouns unknown to me, because I can't remember. They're using... basically using like occlusion in Inochi where I was doing something ridiculous. That may be worth checking my old notes for. I believe my old notes for this were in a Google Doc. There's a couple of ways to do masking and occlusion in Inochi. Let's see if I'm lucky enough to have left this in my big general notes file. It's... Nope, I did not. I probably... Where would I have put this? Possibly in a random Emacs file on a different laptop. That happens. Do I have any notes here? I don't. So there's a couple of ways that I'm trying to remember that I will almost certainly remember if I... Right, mask sources. So mask sources is down here. That's one of the ways you do masking, and... I mean, that's how you do masking. There's another way you can do visibility stuff. I can't remember precisely what it is. It's probably something quite obvious that I am simply not bringing to mind. At some point in here, I don't think they've actually... Like, I'm not seeing the mask source here, so... Possibly the other way, possibly the way they're doing it here is just by scrunching up the whole eye. Let me have a look at the eye left blink. So what's happening to all of that when you do the blink? The eyeball here doesn't have a mask source. Is there something over top of it? Eye left origin. I literally don't remember how they are occluding that eye. It's not a mask source in the obvious way. And I wish I had my notes for it. Well, I'll probably have to sort that out on my own time. I mean, there is simply occluding it with other bits, but I don't see what they are. Certainly, there are still some mysteries. Mostly because I've forgotten. Mostly because I just lost my notes for this and don't remember how this is being done. If I close this up and look through all this stuff, I mean, that's just down there. What is it that's showing? Composite. I left. The white, that's not showing, that's not showing. White. Is that it? The white is being hidden. The eyeball is not. Where's the eyeball going? What happened to the eyeball? Oh, blending is clip to lower. That's the other thing. That took me too long. That may be a sign that it's time to quit for today. And I'll have to ponder how I want to do those eyes. In the future, when I actually remember how to do all of this stuff and I've done it more than fake once, it'll get a little bit easier. And also I could ask Hero for advice, but I am too proud. Never ask. Did want to have a look at the yaw pitch, but the yaw pitch they're doing is looks like it just yaw pitch and the roll is just a 0 to 1, or is just some minus to 1 to 1 and a 2D of the same. And just 9 points defined, so nothing very special there. I'm going to have to consider whether I want any body movement that is separate from my face quote-unquote movement, and what I'm going to even do with my face movement. I guess that will happen on a future stream. Okay, I think that's enough of all of that for me for this stream. Ah! A hero has appeared. I'm gonna come into stream and yell at you. I'm gonna come into chat and refuse your advice. I'm showing up. Ah. So that's been the an example model by CGET pronunciation unknown. Hopefully next time I will get around to doing some actual Krita work on that model and could by some miracle get around to actual rigging. Until then, season's greetings and have a good night.